Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite convention-related podcast, Con Job. This week, Dylan and I are going to be joined by Mr. Tony Santiago, as we do a vendor spotlight, and he tells us all about his business, how long he's been doing it, and some other little tidbits that he comes up with for us. So I don't have to hope. I think I know you guys will already enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, or should I say, how I start every podcast, without further ado, Dylan, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm fully caffeinated now. You gave me 5 minutes heads up. You're like, hey, you want to do a podcast right now? I go, yes, and I had to run to Starbucks, but now we're good to go.
I tell you, I'm just happy that you have a little bit of an intro for us today instead of your normal hello. So that makes me happy.
Yes, sir. Nice to have you.
You're getting the hang of this. And this week we have a very, moderately special guest. We're going to be doing a vendor spotlight on Mr. Tony Santiago. Tony, welcome to the pod. Longtime listener, from what I gather. And tell everybody, obviously we know who you are, but the name of the business, what you sell, what you do.
Okay. Thanks for having me. The name of the business is Tony Santiago Art.
Very original.
And quite simply, I sell prints and posters featuring my artwork.
And what type of medium are you using?
I'm painting digital. I used to do more traditional stuff before I started doing this, and once I taught myself digital, I never went back. So that's where I'm at now.
And just real quick, hold on, Dylan. Before we get into it, when we were at Canada, we were a couple booths apart, so we spent a lot of time chit chatting. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I saw him drawing was the Good Will Hunting one?
Oh, the one that I was working on?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was working on Dogma.
Oh, it was Dogma. That's right. It was because I saw some of the same characters. But anyway.
That's a hard find, I tried to watch that movie. You can't find that movie anywhere. It's digitally.
Well, just in my mind, when I hear digital, I'm like, oh, they take stuff and they just manipulate. Yeah. Like, I didn't know how it works. And I go there and Tony's like drawing with a pencil and I'm like, holy crap, they actually do the work. I mean, I know other ones do, obviously, but I was like, oh, so Tony knows what he's doing. So I could make less fun of him than I wanted to. So, and then he just started making fun of me, rampantly, but
I would never do that. No, it's interesting. That's kind of a common, thing where people just, digital, they just think it's a couple clicks and a filter or two. And maybe some artists do that. And that I'm sure we've seen some of that, but no, I'm there drawing with a pen in hand as if it was a piece of paper and a pencil.
Are you rocking a Wacom that has the screen on it, or the old school ones that's just kind of the black tablets?
The tablet? Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I have the Cintiq. So gotcha. For my desktop, I'm here with the nice big 24-inch screen, or 27, whatever it is, and doing well with that. And then when I'm on the road, it's on the iPad. So I have no excuses to not be productive.
Well, how long have you been productive doing this? Just like arts in general that you've been selling, and then also how long have you been doing it at cons?
So, I mean, it's cliche. I've been drawing my whole life. As far as the Comic-Con stuff, since 2013, I think, and MegaCon was the first show. I consider 2013 my start point. That's the first show I traveled to. I had done a couple of Wizard Chicago shows, 2011, 2012, and then I traveled to Orlando in 2013, and that's my start point. And that's kind of when I changed everything. But my first two shows, it was all sports art, and it was all marker, colored pencil, kind of doing the stuff I was doing. And then that second Wizard World, I came in with, I think, a Breaking Bad piece, a Spider-Man that I sketched out just to have something relevant to the audience. And I just kind of went from there. The guy next to me said, hey, you ever thought about doing MegaCon and go to Orlando? And I think it was like 2 weeks. No, it was more than that. It was a couple months prior, which is funny because you can't get into MegaCon now. Yeah. And I was able to just kind of call them up and say, hey, do you have a table? And they're like, yeah, come on in. So I did that. But but yeah, it was interesting. I had actually done a sports convention right here in Chicago where it was just all sports, and I had my sports art. I had done a couple of Blackhawks fan conventions, so I was good to go, ready to rock. And for one weekend, I didn't sell anything. Like, I just stood there, and that was the weekend. It just occurred to me that sports fans don't really care that much about art. Some of them do, but for the most part, they're looking for memorabilia. Whereas at a Comic-Con, at Wizard World or whatever it was, it's all enthusiasts. So It's like, oh, this is the place to be. So that's when I made the shift and just started doing trying to do relevant to Comic-Con stuff, pop culture.
When you got to MegaCon, was it like a big, like, holy crap? Because it's obviously a lot different than the Wizard Worlds. Although I can't remember back then. I mean, we started, I think MegaCon 2016 was our first. So I don't know how much different it was in, the first year you did it, but was it like, holy crap, this is huge compared to the Wizard Worlds?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I don't have, the only thing really specifically that I had an artist alley table, and I don't know if they still do this, but it was like, they had the sections, it was all sectioned off by color. So it was like blue, orange, green, and I think I was in the orange section. I mean, do they still do that with the artist alley? And
no, I don't know.
I have no idea.
So. I don't see colors.
Right. So, but I don't even know if it was, I couldn't tell if it was the same building or the same room, but it wasn't nearly the size it is now.
Right.
But it was definitely bigger than anything I had seen.
Okay. And how did you actually get started then? Did you just decide, hey, today I'm going to go to a con? Like, because we all have a story of how we started. So what's yours?
So, yeah, I mean, I had gone to a couple of shows, Wizard shows with my son, just as a customer, just as, and I just love walking around Artist Alley and checking out artists. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. And I didn't really I wasn't working at the time. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I came home one after one of the shows and told my wife, I was like, this is kind of cool. It'd be pretty interesting to be on the other side of the table, but I think it's like, $200. I don't know if I can do that. And my wife is like, oh my God, just get out of this house already. Just go. If it gets you out of the house. I can picture her saying that. If it gets you out of the house for a weekend and puts a smile on your face, just please, God, just go. And so, yeah, a year later, almost, I guess. That's kind of how it started. Like I said, it was just a bunch of Chicago Blackhawks and Bears and Bulls stuff, and
too bad.
Didn't make many sales, but I just enjoyed it so much. I can only imagine. I have pictures buried deep in my phone of those first tables, and it's really like a sad sight, but it was really kind of fun. And so
it's amazing the evolution, right? When you look back,
it is.
Yeah,
it is, and it's so. I love it because it's organic, and I've had people, artists and come up to me and like, hey, where'd you get the tripods? Where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? I'm just starting. I'd love to get, where'd you get those banners done? I'm like, you just have to figure that out. The start point is not tripods and banners. I mean, do your work and just let it grow from there. It'll grow. The audience will tell you what you need to do. And that's kind of how I did it.
So it's safe to say, since we see you every week, everywhere, that this is your full-time gig. Art, whether it's online or at cons, this is it.
Yeah, this is all I do. I tried going the freelance route for a little while, and that just sucks. Like I just didn't. I've had a couple of art jobs, and they were fine. Learned a lot, but as far as steady income as a freelancer, I just came to the realization that I'm just not going to get the kinds of projects that would pay me anywhere close to what I can make at a con,
or even be interesting.
Yeah,
or
once
be interesting.
You're kind of in charge of your own stuff. Client work is just it's hard to go back to.
I'd much rather have the audience tell me this sucks and I'm not going to buy it, versus an art director saying, well, I don't like the color red, so change it. It's like, what? Yeah. What are we doing?
His arm is too high.
Yeah, I'm not really built for that. I mean, maybe someday I'll get back into that, but for right now, I'm happy where I'm at with the cons.
The last time I had a real client gig, the guy was like, "All right, I want this dolphin, and I want out of his blowhole this galaxy spiraling, and I want this UFO." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is just getting ridiculous." I'm like, "I don't want to be part of this. It's just nonsense for a T-shirt," and
Well,
it didn't do well.
I tried early on because I was in Artist Alley a lot, and I love watching the artists work, and it's like, wow, this is really cool. It feels like it just feels so genuine. So like I want to be one of these guys. So I opened myself up to commissions, and I'm just like, you know, I'm going to do commissions, and I'm going to be this rock star of an artist, and that absolutely. I mean, the first commission, maybe not the first one, but like the second or third commission was, dude, I need you to draw me the creature from the Black Lagoon in a Blackhawks jersey raising the cup. And I was like, all right, that. Needless to say, that was the last time I opened myself up to commissions. I did it, and the guy was like, and I spent that weekend, you know, I went through anxiety, like, oh my God, is he even going to like this? Like, what am I doing? I'm up till 1:00 in the morning doing a commission of Creature from the Black Lagoon. What does that thing even look like? You know, the Stanley Cup. Is he on a team? And then he's like, oh, I love it. It's awesome. It's like, just give me the $50 and just go away.
And as a Blackhawks fan, I know you're not really familiar with the Stanley Cup, so.
that's
Sorry,
just not nice. That's uncalled for.
At least it could have been worse. He could have said the Larry O'Brien Trophy, which, as a Bulls fan,
oh my,
you'd have to be very old to remember those.
Well, unfortunately, I do.
So, how many shows do you typically do in a year? I'm sure it's probably progressed. Has it increased, decreased? Like, have you got to a point you go, that's too many, let me lower it? What is your?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start out the gate just doing show after show after show. So going back to that 2013 timeframe, it wasn't until maybe a couple of years later where I was really filling out my calendar. And I've probably maxed out at maybe 30. And now I'm just in the 20s. I'll do a mid. I'm approximating maybe 22, 24 shows depending on the year. There may be one or two shows that pop up. I'm like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And there's always shows that I'm going to take off my calendar. I mean, I just experienced one of those, as Ryan knows. So, yeah. So, I mean, it changes, but it fluctuates, but it stays in that 20 to 25 range probably.
Okay.
You ever any difficulty doing whenever those shows line up on the same weekend? As you know, sometimes there'll be nothing. Oh, now there are 2 or 3 shows on one weekend. How do you overcome those kind of issues?
Yeah, I do have that. I have my wife will go to a show. I have my son has done shows. I mean, we just did.
He was in Raleigh, right?
Yeah, he was in Raleigh while I was at San Diego.
Yeah.
And he was in Tampa while I was in the show that shall not be named.
Hey, we got to hang out. Could have been worse. Well, maybe.
Dylan, you know it's a bad show when the highlight of the show is I got to hang out with Ryan. So I'm kidding, but it was the highlight of the show.
I think the highlight of the show was the Russian waiter who spit in our food. Absolutely.
Well, that's when you talk to people that way, that's what happens, Ryan. But anyway,
he's KGB. He slashed my tire.
Yeah, he just won't let it go. But yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I'll have people go to shows early on at the beginning, probably around that 14, 15 range. I did partner up with somebody for a little while who was helping me out with sales and would go to shows. And for the most part, it was working. But I was doing very small numbers. And as it started to grow, then my wife got involved, and she's just like, wait a minute, these are the kinds of numbers that we need to manage. We need to take seriously. This isn't just you having fun getting out of the house anymore. This is like a real thing. And my wife essentially was, you go color whatever it is you do, and I will now take over this business. And that so that partnership with the other person just it went away. It became stressful because there is a lot of cash involved, or there can be if you're doing well. And, when somebody posts on Facebook, hey, here I am out to dinner, and you're like, wait a minute, am I paying for that dinner? I mean, what is this? So that came to an end. And we just kind of went from there and kept the circle tight. So now it's just family, and I think the most I've had a situation where I had 4 shows on one weekend, and it included like a mall, hanging out at the mall. And that was a couple of years ago. So we managed it with family, and it's always worked out.
So I always wonder when there's, Tony Santiago, or Art of Megan Withy, how do customers feel whenever the artist isn't there? Because, we're a little bit different, even though I'm the artist. Not a lot of people even know that I'm the artist because we're just kind of a brand. Do you ever get any feedback when people are talking to like your brother or your son or anything, and they're not the artist, or not really?
Yeah, I've been told by my family members that people ask for me all the time, like, oh, where's the artist? But the reality is, if they're going to make the sale, they're going to make the sale. Like no one's not buying because, oh, well, he's not here. Well, forget it then. I'm not buying this Captain America print.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I get a lot of the same stuff too. But I'm the eye candy in the booth, so no one's there to see Meg anyway.
You are. You're the booth babe. But Meg, but honestly, Meg she's there. She does enhance the booth because she's working. She's painting at the booth. I'm not doing that. I get asked more often, is the artist here? Are you the artist? I'm like, yeah. Don't let the logo fool you.
Or your favorite question. Did you just do these?
Oh my God. Oh, that guy was hilarious, dude. That might have been one of my top 5 interactions with a customer.
You came over to the booth and you're like, I think I was on the phone. You're like, hang up. I was like, what? You're like, you don't understand. This guy just came over and he's like, look. He's like, just do these.
The guy said, one for me? No, I could hear. I heard the guy. I was looking down at the time, and I could hear him walk over. I hear, oh yeah.
That was it.
And I look up, and there's this guy, this young guy, this meathead with his girlfriend. And the funniest thing is that she was looking at him like he had it all figured out. Like she looked at him adoringly. Like that's the kind of look that we wish our wives would look at us like. And he was like, and he just looks at me. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you do all these? I said, yes, I did. Any of them today? I was like, dude, I couldn't believe it. Just go away. I was like, thank God that's not my daughter.
Oh, that's perfect. Do you just do shows in the US, or do you do any overseas? Or any more?
No, there's Canada. We did the Abu Dhabi that one time, which was a lot of fun. I don't know that I'm in a hurry to do that one again, only because it lands right around MegaCon every
it's usually a couple of weeks before. This year it's pushed to April. So
okay,
I don't know when Mega is, but
those
it's usually close
shows, man. It's like
we use that as a reason for a vacation. So
right, yeah. You guys travel a lot, so that works out well for you. I'm kind of I get there, hang out, maybe a day cushion, and take off. We have done a couple of Paris shows back when they had them. I don't know that the show that we used to do is still there. My wife has gone to Vienna a couple times, and that's the extent of our travel outside the U.S. We like it. I wanted. There's an England show. In
there's
London,
MCM London. Yeah, there's one in Birmingham too. We have not done that one yet. I think we're going to try and do it next year. But there's one in Birmingham. But I have a friend from that area, and he said, "Don't do Birmingham because they're famous for having deep pockets and short arms." So we stay away from Birmingham. But the London
Okay,
one's supposedly
okay.
a good show. I know a few artists who've done it who say it's pretty good.
That's pretty
So,
pop,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, shows like that we're doing, quite honestly, just the show serves just to get to wherever we're going, and just hoping that the show pays for it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we do it. We try to pay for our
Yeah.
vacation or put a big dent in it. So
Yeah, we're not expecting these huge profits, if
Yeah.
So, but it's great. It's a great experience, and just to kind of get the vibe of people around the world, it's fun.
Yeah.
So, on the show, we're always debating on if a lot of celebrities are a good thing for a show or not. And I was wondering, because your art, really highlights a lot of like the celebrity likeness. If celebrity shows kill it for you guys, like you guys do well whenever there's celebrities, because it's not just, oh, here's let's get Andrew Garfield to sign this Spider-Man poster. Let's get Andrew Garfield to sign this Andrew Garfield like fine art piece.
Like Ace ones, right? Like the Ace ones are the heavy, the big A-listers.
Coincidentally, the best show I've ever had was last year in San Antonio, and Andrew Garfield was there. It was a big part of that. Yeah,
good job, Dylan.
Those are that's my wheelhouse, to be quite frank. It's like, I love it when there's a good celebrity there and other artists aren't going to have something, like, how many Kiefer Sutherland pieces do you see at a show? I mean, I guess you'll see Lost Boys.
Adam has one from Lost Boys. Yeah.
You'll see Lost Boys and things like that. But like, I've got a Jack Bauer piece. Like, nobody. There's not much Jack Bauer.
Season 1's one of the best shows ever.
I did that so many years ago, and my wife was like, "Why are you drawing Jack Bauer? Like, nobody asked for this." And I'm like, I was watching 24. I'm like, you don't understand. This is Jack Bauer, and I just want people to walk by the booth, take a second look, a double take, and say, "Is that Jack Bauer?"
You should have done his daughter, to be honest.
Let's see what else he's got. And a couple years later, Kiefer Sutherland starts showing up at shows, and it's like, I'm selling Jack Bauer prints. Now, I don't sell them anymore. I don't bring it because it just doesn't sell. But that's always been my philosophy, is have some of these pieces and characters that a lot of artists probably aren't going to have, and the celebrities show up. And I did like a Sons of Anarchy piece when I was watching Sons of Anarchy, and
now they do a lot of shows. Yeah.
And now Charlie Hunnam does shows, and I met him last year in Salt Lake City, and he was there promoting something else for a company that he's working with, and he was really gracious, came to the booth and was like, "Wow, I've seen a lot of these over the years. I've signed these, and this is really nice stuff."
And his dad,
he's at a show.
His dad in the show was Hellboy, right?
Ron Perlman.
So Ron Perlman, yeah. So I know he does. So yeah, that's another one. And then, what's her name? Peg Bundy. She's done some shows.
Oh, now she's starting to do shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman, I met earlier this year and walked up to him, and this guy is so out of it. I said, I showed up with the Sons of Anarchy piece that I know he has signed, at least 20, 30 times. And he looked at me and he's like, "I've never seen this." And I looked, and then I showed him my Hellboy piece that I know he has signed, because people come and show me, "Look, I got it signed."
Right.
He's like, "You know what? I'm sorry. I've never seen this." I was like, this guy.
He was like, "Oh yeah."
And then he goes, then he was like, "But forgive me, because I've done a lot of hard living. So my memory might be slipping."
That helps. That helps. A lot of hard living. Good answer. Leave that open to interpretation.
But to answer your question, those shows work out for me pretty well. I mean, I do well at those shows. I know a lot of vendors and artists that talk about the money goes to the celebrities and the autographs, and there's nothing left for the vendors. I've never really gotten into that. That's
a big debate too. I agree with you. Alexa's on the other side of that.
Oh yeah, I'm like, nah. I do okay still. It's
like the Ace shows. You have those huge names, and they're $500 each to sign. We do great at those. When they have all the Avengers and You know?
Yeah, my thing is that the person who has $500 to sign for an autograph to meet Tom Hiddleston or Chris Evans,
Yeah. That's an
that's
extra
not
$30
their life
for a print.
savings. Yeah, that's they're. I think they have a little bit more money than just that 500. Now, I've been to shows where it's just like I see people's hands shake when they hand you a 20, and it's just like,
you have to check
God.
it. You're like, is this thing real? Where's my brown marker?
Yeah, I had somebody years ago. I mean, something along the lines of, I'm going to buy this print, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to have money for the bus. And I was like, listen, just give me your 20 and go figure out the bus. You know, just
grab the back. Like Michael J. Fox, grab a skateboard, hold on the back. You're all set. Get to where you got to go.
But yeah, so no, it's never been an issue for me. I enjoy when the celebrities are there, and it brings people in. And my thing, get people in the door. I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, exactly, and that's our job. Yeah,
absolutely.
And
absolutely.
do you drive to all your shows, right? You don't fly?
No, I do fly.
You do fly.
I fly.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'll be flying to Salt Lake City.
Which do you prefer, and why?
Well, I have the new, and I know you experimented too with the panels, pro panels.
Mm-hmm.
So I like being able to use those. So driving is nice because I can't ship those. So when I'm driving to a show, I can do more. I have more flexibility with how I can set up and design, and
just looks more professional, right? It really does.
I just like it. I just like it visually.
It separates you for sure, because not everybody's got those.
So you swear by that? You swear by the pro panels? Because I mean, they do always look nice. You can't not notice the pro panels, but it comes with the added. Well, you can't really fly with them. So
right, they're not. Yeah, it's very cumbersome. You can't travel that way. But I don't think they're more work, Brian. We talked about this. I set up. I don't know if you can sort of see behind me. That's my model. So I have.
Oh yeah, you have
I have a small model of my booth. So I'm here at home, like a crazy person, laying it out and planning it. So by the time I get to a show, I kind of know what it's going to look like. So I'm ready to go.
Dylan has a digital version of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can always just drag and drop things.
So, absolutely. Preparation is key. Ryan, I don't know what you're doing.
Preparation for me is preparation H.
Don't worry so much about cutting weight. You should just worry about how the booth is going to look.
Okay. Well, it's a big fight this weekend.
So the pro panels I don't feel the extra work there. It just kind of lands into.
It just takes longer. It's not necessarily harder work. It just takes longer than just putting up the backdrop and pulling the prints down.
I mean, I have my pro panels with the backdrop. I mean, I have a hybrid. I tried it. I don't know if you remember. If you remember last year in Toronto, was the first time I had the pro panels, and I don't know if you remember, but I was letting people in my booth.
Yeah, and then remember, you were like, nobody's walking in, and then you're like, what do I got to do to move things so I get them to know it's a walk-in?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as people started walking in, that is almost like this was a bad idea. Like, what do we? Like, I have 4 days of these people walking. Like, I didn't realize I needed my space until I had no space, and so that's gone away. So I now have a hybrid where I do have tables, but it is cut in half. So half of my booth is people are able to walk in and take a look and kind of get closer, but I still have my tables, so I still have that little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, Tony is the younger version of Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I see nothing wrong with how I approach this.
I say it all the time. You can ask my kids, you can ask my wife, and I always say, I hate humans. Because they always do something to just make you go, yeah, this is why.
No, I mean, listen, I love the shows. I don't need people all up on me. So it's, we have to figure out ways to kind of make it comfortable for everybody involved.
And just go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead.
Well, as an artist, curious if you feel, what's your feel on whether you want to be in the vendor floor or the artist floor? Obviously, pros and cons. Artist alley is a little cheaper, but and I would say 95% 5% of the time we're on the vendor floor, but the times we have done the artist floor, I'm like, oh, maybe I've been sleeping on the fact that people come to the artist alley for art, whereas we normally like to be in the vendor floor because there's more traffic. So since you're the art of Tony Santiago, what's your vibe on those?
Well, I really liked Artist Alley because I like being around the artist and I like being seen as the artist. But there was it became then some of the Artist Alley, like as my booth size and my inventory was growing, I would get one. I started with one table, then it's two tables, and it's like, okay, can I get three tables? And so a lot of people are like, no, you can't get three tables. And it's like, oh, well, there's a height limit on where you can go. You can't just step up. And if I did go big, there was always the couple of artists either to my side or in front of me that were just giving me dirty looks all weekend because they just weren't, they were selling their thing, and this guy's over here selling Captain America and Iron Man all weekend. And I'm like, so it gets uncomfortable. And there is like that, it's only east-west traffic, right? Like it's just that unless you're on a corner, there's you're not being seen.
Yeah, it's hard, especially if it gets busy and if it's
right. And some of the artists are
if it's wide enough for two rows of people, the person, if you're on the right and that row on the left, they see and go, I can't get over there. So then just move on and they forget you.
And some artist alleys are huge. So like C2E2 has a really big artist alley, with a lot of professionals in there. So it gets packed from an eyeball standpoint, but I don't know that all those people see all the artists, or if they wait, I'm going to find the Spider-Man I like. And it's like they've seen 50 Spider-Man by the time they get to me, and they're like, yeah, I already bought one. So they'll just keep moving.
And they're definitely not going to come back. That's for sure.
Probably not. And there was a moment where it's like, let's try the vendor floor. Because I think I was at an artist alley. I can't remember what show, but I was in artist alley, and I kept looking to my left. I'm like, where the hell is everybody? Like, I know there's people here. I could hear it. There's energy, but not where I am. And I'm like, there is nobody walking around. And I took a walk. I'm like, everybody's in the vendor area. Like, this is where all the people are. And it just was like, I got to get to where the eyeballs are. That's the stuff you got to
try to take notes on and really try to adjust.
Absolutely.
Based on, this show is an artist alley show. This show is because I swear by, for Dragon Con, I swear by the art floor upstairs. But with that said, I walk downstairs to the other floors and they're jam packed too. But the people coming up to that art floor are looking to buy art. They're not just coming up there and just,
there's definitely there's definitely a sticker shock as well for a vendor spot. So it's it's like, well, I want a booth, and they weren't even charging at the time. These shows were not even charging extra for the corner. It was just a booth and whatever it was. I'm like, whoa, this is a huge leap from Artist Alley. So my wife and I talked about it. I was like, if we're going to take this seriously, let's give it a shot. And to be honest, I never went back. And you just kind of get over that sticker shock, because my thing is wherever the people are, the best visibility is the place to be. And Artist Alley for me, it feels like working in a closet. And I just can't, I don't function well in there. Not anymore.
Like Ariel once said, I want to be where the people are. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily have to see him dancing.
I definitely identify with her.
So if you had to pick one favorite and one least favorite, what would you pick for conventions?
For conventions?
Yeah.
Right now, the least favorite we just experienced probably.
Okay.
And the Toronto show just it was trending down for me. So, and it was my least favorite, not necessarily because of the people that were there, but really because of it's such a calorie burner show. Like, man, it's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of hours, 4 days. Yeah.
And then the exchange rate does not help.
Which is something we didn't. Dylan, did we talk about that in our review? I can't remember now.
How much you were running around?
No, the exchange rate of the $30 US is
which
like
was down
20.
to So you see the numbers, and then that's an even lower number after the fact.
Yeah. Like
it tell them what it is, and you have to type it in US dollars on our
Mm-hmm.
on the Stripe or the Clover, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kick in the gut, and it just doesn't feel good. So that's probably my least favorite experience so far. As far as my favorite experience, I mean, I really enjoyed Planet Comic Con. That's like a solid. It's a long drive. It's an 8-hour drive, but it's so well attended every year. And the quality, they brought in a lot of Spectrum artists, so the art quality surrounding is really good, which I always enjoy. Motor City's always good. I mean, those shows that I can kind of get to pretty quickly and out of there pretty easily. Motor City's got a great, just the in and out is so nice. I don't like, like C2E2 is a home show for me essentially, but logistically it's a nightmare.
Yeah, that
so
is bad.
I judge a show not only on the performance of sales, but just on logistically. Like, is this really, like, it's a lot of work, for, especially, and if it's a bad show, if the sales are not as good as I wanted, those logistics just feel that much worse.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, get me out of here. So, but I would say Planet Comic Con and Motor City are two of my favorites right now.
Those are good ones. Yeah, I love Planet Comic Con. Plus, I used to live in Northeast Oklahoma, so I mean it's almost kind of homeish for me. So it's always nice to come back there and have friends there.
There was a I think there was a Wizard World. Was there an Oklahoma City show? I vaguely remember going to Oklahoma City.
This year, there's GalaxyCon had one.
Oh, GalaxyCon has popped up there, right?
Yeah.
It popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
Are they the new Wizard World?
It seems like they've added like 5 new shows. They're everywhere. They're in New Orleans.
3 different tiers. We got GalaxyCon, we have Animate, and we have Frightmares.
The spooky one, yeah. So yeah, Alexa has some info on that. So we'll talk about that in a different pod. But there's some info on how those are working.
I only do their the Raleigh show in Columbus. So far they've been good.
Yeah, we do both of those. And
it was the Raleigh show that made me think of we had a vendor booth and an artist alley, and it was one of the first times we had an artist alley, and the artist alley beat the vendor floor, which I would not have bet money on. And so that's why I asked.
Damn, I wasted money.
Right. But the thing with, I think, at the Galaxy Cons, and like you said, it changes from show to show. Sometimes there's not a clear disconnect of this is artist alley, this is vendor, because I think Oklahoma City and Galaxy Con, the artist alley is just the aisle over from vendor, but it's like to the customer it's the exact same thing. And so sometimes it's like, oh, one aisle over is a fraction of the cost and it was a pretty comparable size booth. So
is that how Raleigh is? I don't remember. I thought the artist alley it's all on the same floor, right?
Right. So I know that was definitely for GalaxyCon Oklahoma City. I wasn't personally at Raleigh, but I know that we had
Raleigh.
There
are separate places in Raleigh. The vendor floor is downstairs, or I don't know if it's downstairs, but you go down the escalator to that. But the artist alley is like upstairs in a different area.
Oh, they have a different room inside.
Yeah, because I had some friends that were in it this year. Because I was like, I thought you were here. They're like, yeah, we're in artist alley. So it turns out they're upstairs in a separate part. So, but it's packed in there because it's a smaller room. And you get the same amount of people, so it's literally like shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I remember
so much so that the first couple of days, people are like, it's just too busy,
And Dylan, going back to what you were saying, I remember Wizard World. They used to kill me that they would have different price points in the vendor area. So it's like, oh well, this area here, this is the premium area, so this is going to be hundreds of dollars more than this area right here, and I bought one of those premium. I'm like, oh, well, let me do this. Let me get in. I'm big time. I can do this. Let me just, we got this. So I give him my money. I'm like, yeah. The guy across from me, he's like, oh no, this is not the premium. I'm like, wait, we're on the same street here. Like, why is my house way more money than this guy? And that was the end of that. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't do premium spacing on the floor anymore. It doesn't. I think that's kind of that's a little snake oil there.
Unless you can pick, I want this exact booth. I see the floor,
right?
And like, here's the entrance or here's the restroom. Then it's like, yeah, premium's just this, ethereal spot that they'll put you somewhere.
Right, absolutely. So, but yeah, and if Artist Alley is like a destination, like I've thought about, what if I had New York vendor booth in a New York Artist Alley? That would be interesting. But then I just think about all the work involved. And I'm like, hell with it. I don't want to do that much work. It's not that important to me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess last question, since you do 20, 30 shows a year, is there, what's the most annoying thing that comes with managing that many shows, whether it's like admin stuff or actually, I would say dealing with people, but your people are your family. So I hope that's not the issue, but just like, what's something you have to overcome dealing with working with so many shows a year?
To be honest, I really don't like doing as much show prep as I do. I don't like doing show prep. Like, it's not like counting inventory, picking up boxes, getting it all together. I'm like, why am I doing, like, what is this? Like, why isn't, it's like, where are my people? And I don't have any. It's like, I guess I got to count this. All I want to do is draw pictures. Like, why can't I just draw pictures all day? But it's a necessary part of the whole thing. I didn't realize when in 2013, when I started traveling, or even before then, when I did the couple Wizard shows, that it would turn into a small business. That was never the intent. The intent was just go to shows, have a good time, be around some like-minded people, and enjoy the company of other artists. And I got that. But then as the success grew, it turned into a thing where it's like, we have to pay attention to all of these details. And then that's when my tendency to be detail-oriented kicked in. And it's like, okay, well, I take a picture of my booth and I'm like, well, that looks terrible. Well, I'm not going to have that for the next time. So now I'm going to pay attention to that. And I'm going to start investing in banners and table runners and logos and hats and polo. And like, gee, it never ends. And it's consumed. It's all consuming, right? And so I'm here at my house, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to take a break from what I actually do, which is create the product, and I'm gonna have to go count prints for 2 hours, just count paper, and it's like mind numbing. That's the stuff that I don't enjoy doing, but it kind of feeds the whole thing, so it's a necessary evil, I guess. But I mean, I can't. It is all mine, right? So at least we have that, where it's like, this is our thing. Like you said, Dylan, earlier, like, you don't have to answer to anybody. It's, you pass or fail based on on those details and the work you're willing to put in, right? So I know an artist friend of mine, who I can tell spends 75% of his time or more on the painting, and 10% or less on the setup, and it shows. And his presentation is just like, this work deserves a better presentation, but he'll never change. On the flip side of that, I spend far too much time on the presentation part, and I'm trying to find balance. I'm always trying to find a balance and squeeze that in, which is some of the motivating factors when dropping some shows, especially shows that have not been working for a year or two. It's like, or a couple of years. It's like, I could better spend my time. That Toronto show, you never see me with my iPad out working. I mean, that's just never the case. That's how bad that show was for me, where I guess I'll be productive in some way, because it's not busy, and I'm just not getting, I can't not be productive. That hurts me more. So yeah, that's kind of where, to answer your question, it's the admin stuff. I don't enjoy that at all. I don't know how you guys are. I mean, I'm just not into.
Well, I hired a helper, and I talked Dylan into doing the same thing.
Of course you did. Yes.
Yeah, art's the best part. That's why we got into it. So
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I have five. I have 5 teams, 5 girls that work for me. So it's like some weekends I have 5 shows to prints, hotels, flights, like, and it's like I can't do it all. I can't do it all. So I gotta.
You're running the empire over there. That's a lot more going on for sure. And when you start doing those kinds of shows and those kinds of numbers of shows, and you've got that kind of visibility, you have to hire people.
I can't. I've been doing it myself for so long, and like the stress and just the drain, and it's just. And even Meg was like,
"Where's on your face?" I can tell.
Yes.
And oh my God, can you believe it? He's 25 years old, Dylan. So what we experienced early on with having another person with us, and it didn't work out. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was stressful when you don't know what's going on and you're not there. And I think that, to me, that stress is worse than the stress I feel having to kind of do everything. Because if I don't do something, it's because I didn't make the time. But if having to worry about where my money's going or having to develop trust, things like that. So I'd rather just not do as many shows and keep it manageable. The bottom line is I'm too controlling. I don't like to let go of a lot of things. So that's kind of where I'm at. I applaud you, Ryan, for being able to manage that like that. Because I'm just not built that way. I don't know how you do it.
I don't either. I hired somebody. That's how I do it. Because it was rough. It was causing a lot of just issues.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's to do all these shows. I mean, I don't know how many you do, Dylan, but it's like it's physically demanding after a while. It's like, geez,
Dylan does twice as many as we do.
Oh my God. That's insane.
We have 140 for us. I think Dylan's like at 700 this year.
I don't know about that, but something like that.
So it's essentially a show every weekend.
Or
give or take.
Again, sometimes
it's
multiple. They pile up. Like, and then I was going to have the weekend off, but a worker said, "Hey, I'm feeling not too well, so I'm going to Houston." So shout out if anybody's going to Anime Houston this weekend. Stop on by the booth. Wow. I'll be there. You can say hi. But Tony, before we let you go, any vendors or fellow con artists you want to shout out to that you respect, or you just want to, maybe you'd like to hear their story on the, you're not a con artist. Well, maybe.
He is kind of a con artist. Yeah, I as Ryan knows, I don't talk to a lot of vendors. I mean, I don't really get to know a lot of people on the road. Like, I just kind of keep my blinders on and kind of keep to myself. I've gotten a taste early on of some of the drama that can take place, and I just don't want to, be part of that. A couple of the vendors that I have gotten to know is outside of Ryan and Meg is Terry. We all know Terry, right? I think he's an interesting hang. He's got a lot of thoughts. Terry's one of those guys where just all you do is ask the one question, walk away, come back. He'll still be going. Yeah, he's already all wound up, ready to go. He's one of those guys who's been waiting for someone to ask him that question. He's like, oh, thank God someone finally asked me this question. He's got all his answers are chambered, ready to go. I think that's somebody that you'd have a lot of fun with. Have you interviewed Pat yet?
Pat and Alexis?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for they've been on the show to do a review, but we haven't had them on for the vendor spotlight.
For the spotlight, that'd be a fun one too. Pat's an interesting character too to talk to. But yeah, I think those two would be at the top of my list right now.
Yeah, they're super helpful. They've given me so much advice over the last couple of years, so I'm in debt to them.
Oh, Terry, don't say that to Terry. Terry
he'll Terry.
Actually
not that.
Yeah,
I meant Alexa.
Okay, yeah. Don't ever let Terry know if he's ever helped you out. Don't give him credit because he will never let you forget that.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and let you go, Tony. Before we do, tell everybody where they can find you on the socials.
Yeah, you could do a Google search for my name, Tony Santiago, or I'm really just only on Instagram. It's at Tony Santiago Art. And
not to be confused with his daughter Carmen. Oh wait, that's San Diego.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Dad jokes. And my website, TonySantiagoArt.com.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and I know we had been scheduling this for a couple of days, so thanks for sticking with us. But
thank you.
You're the one that canceled the first time. Just let it be known.
I'm sure you gave me 5 minutes heads up, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
That's my specialty.
Okay. Just deal with whatever. All right.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will catch you guys next time.
See you guys.